Reds Hall of Fame inductees Dave Bristol, Fred Norman, and Adam Dunn. But that will all get started tomorrow afternoon after nearly 3 hours of a rain delay here tonight in Cincinnati. The home team in the white unis and the red trim with the red caps will take the field. It is still raining. In fact, it is raining harder now than it has rained at any point in time over the last hour and 50, almost 2 hours worth of time. If they were going to start this game in this kind of weather, they could have done that a long time ago. All right, Tyler Mahle. A rock-solid, inconsistent, but rock-solid overall first half of this year.
Well, he started off a little bit rough, and then lately, though, he's really caught steam, and he's 7-7 overall. That earned run average is about as high now as it's been in about 3 or 4 weeks, because he had a stretch there over 7 games where he was one of the better pitchers in the National League, not just on this Reds team. And for a guy making his way through the major leagues in his first full season this year, there's a lot to like about Mahle. He's got really good handle on throwing a high fastball. He's got good command. This is what I was talking about, the first half, second half, really for him. First 11 starts, he struggled, but, you know, he's a guy that when everything else fails on you, but you can still place the ball where you want it, you're going to have a chance. And he's got a repeatable delivery, good stage presence, and I'm looking for him to have a nice second half here.
Clint Hurdle and the Pirates come in on quite a roll. They have won 8 of their last 9. They've won a season-best 6 straight games, and the lineup under manager Clint Hurdle reads as follows. It'll be Dickerson leading off in left field, Marte in center, and Gregory Polanco in right. Diaz catching, Colin Moran down at third, and Josh Bell, the first baseman. Latter third is Sean Rodriguez, just activated off the disabled list before the game tonight. Jordy Mercer at short, and Jamison Tyone is on the mound. No Joey Votto this first game back. It will be Adam Duvall playing at first base. It's only the 7th time all year Dickerson has led off. And he's not one to take a walk. He is up there to swing the bat. And here comes a pitch from Mahle, and after nearly 3 hours of a rain delay, we are underway at Great American Ballpark in downtown Cincinnati. You know, really, it's such an imperfect science. We're talking about starting the game, and do you start it? What weather do you have when you start it? Look, everybody's doing the very, very best they can to try and make some decision on if you're going to play and then when you're going to play. So there's no blame to be had out there. Everybody's just trying to get it right. And we're finally underway here. 1 down. Let's look at the Reds on defense tonight, presented by Ford. It'll be Hamilton in center, flanked by Winker and Urban. Urban just called up when Scott Schebler was placed on the disabled list yesterday. Infield, a couple of all-stars and minus a third one at first. Tucker Barnhart hanging the sign.
Yeah, I've always thought, Tom, during long rain delays as a pitcher, you know, you put your mind on hold until they tell you a start time, and then you get out there and you start getting loose again. If you're thinking about the game for the last 3 hours, you're going to be worn out mentally by the time 10-10 rolls around, especially true of the starting pitchers.
One hopper off the bat of Marte down to Eugenio Suarez, who throws him out. 2 up, 2 down, and here comes Polanco. 16 home runs, 51 runs batted in, but just a .235 batting average. Nice quick start. 5 pitches, 2 outs for Tyler. Both these teams are really playing good baseball. Really, really playing well. Told you the Pirates streaking with this season high 6-game win streak, their longest since July of last year. And they've not won 7 in a row since the end of June, start of July 2016. Fastball up and away to Polanco. And the Reds, you know all about them. They've won 21 of their last 31. 21-10 since June the 10th. That is the 4th best record in all of Major League Baseball. And in fact, you go back even further than that to the 7th of May when they sat 8-27. The Reds are 9 games over 500. Only the Cubs and the Dodgers among all National League teams have been better than Jim Riggleman's club. Two balls and a strike.
Where the Pirates have really made a lot of business so far this year is against National League Central teams. They're 23-16. So where the Reds have had a tough time in the division, mainly because they've got a tough record against the Cardinals, the Pirates have really held their own.
2-2 on Polanco. It's a lengthy homestand to kick off this second half. 3 against the Pirates, 3 against St. Louis, 4 against the Philadelphia Phillies. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Polanco. And we'll do it again.
You know, really, when people look at that last road trip that the Reds had prior to going to the All-Star break, you're thinking, uh-oh, Chicago Cubs, Cleveland Indians, St. Louis Cardinals. You know, those are always tough places traditionally for the Reds, or the Cubs recently anyway. But boy, they did a nice job on that trip and probably would have liked to continue to play right through that break.
In the air left field, this will be playable for Jesse Winker, short of the track, and a 1-2-3 start for Mr. Malik. Reds come to bat when we return, bottom of the first inning. Weather. Humidity's up there, but boy, the temperature is extremely cool, down in the upper 60s. I think everyone who lives in Reds country would agree we have so desperately needed this rain. I mean, it may not great for people who have laid out their hard-earned money to come watch a ball game. It was supposed to have started at 7:10 tonight, but you could almost hear the trees and the plants breathe a sigh of relief after getting rain last night. It's been a long time. So here we go. Jamison Tyone, bottom of the first inning against Jose Peraza. Peraza coming off the best series of his career. He had 11 hits in the 3-game series against St. Louis prior to the break. That tied a club record for most hits over any 3-game span with Vada Pinson. How about that? And it was a first Red. Peraza with 11 hits in a 3-game series. Pinson did his over a 3-game span. Still 0-2 on Peraza, who ends the mythical first half of the season with a .293 batting average.
Well, he had a tremendous month of July so far. And really, the contributions of Peraza and Billy Hamilton from a getting on base standpoint is really what has helped turn this ball club around offensively. because you can't just rely on the three guys in the middle of the lineup. I mean, Jeanette and Votto and Suarez have been there all year long, and they've been wearing out pitchers, you know, every time those three come around the order. But you have to have some supporting actors. And in the case of Peraza, early in the year, he's batting low in the lineup, you know, not swinging the bat well, and then he starts getting on fire, and next thing you know, he's moving up in the lineup to the leadoff spot, and there he stays. He's chasing fewer pitches out of the zone. He's taking more marginal pitches for balls, and he still has that power in the inside pitch, so you have to respect him if you're a pitcher trying to come inside.
Oh, and 2 on Peraza. And that's a pitch he would have swung at.
Exactly. I mean, probably not made contact with, maybe fouling it off, but, you know, you start letting the pitcher know, I know where the strike zone ends right here. So you define the zone in your mind first.
Able to spoil a good pitch right there at 96 from Taillon, who's 26 years young, grew up in the Woodlands, Texas. Second pick overall was Taillon in the first round of the 2010 first-year player draft as a high school pitcher. Bouncer down to third. That's Colin Moran, 1 out. Let's take a look at Jim Riggleman's starting lineup, minus Joey Votto here tonight. Tucker Barnhart coming up. Then Scooter had the big home run in the All-Star game in the 9th inning. Suarez at third, Winker and Duvall down at first. A latter third of Urban, who's back again. Malley and Billy Hamilton. The Pirates sit 5 games in front of the Reds in the National League Central. They had whittled that down to a couple of games, but then the Pirates took off on this win streak. And you see the numbers overall for Mr. Taillon.
No, it's always a matter of adjustment for young pitchers. You always try to stay ahead of the curve, what the league is reading you, how hitters are reading you. For Taillon, it's been really keeping up with what Major League Baseball and the analytics have shown so far. So gone are the days when he starts pounding the bottom of the zone with that two-seamer. He's throwing more high-seam, four-seam fastballs. He's added a slider instead of just a curveball. And he's almost ditched the changeup almost entirely. So it's fastball, curveball, slider for Taillon, and most of those fastballs are up around the letters. Got plenty of arm to pitch up there.
2 balls and a strike to Barnhart, and now 2-2.
I always thought it was harder for a hitter. That may not make any sense, but think about this for a second. You see all the hitters trying to dry off the bat all the time. They want to keep the barrel dry because you're trying to hit a baseball solid with a wet piece of wood. And the ball would naturally like slip right off of it, right? That's why you see the constant effort of a batter, just trying to figure out a way to keep it dry, keep the hands dry, keep the barrel dry.
In the air left field, that'll back up Dickerson to his right. 2 up, 2 down here in the Reds' first inning, and now it'll be Scooter Gennett. How about this home run he had? Tying the game, 2-run homer, bottom of the 9th. Wow. So exciting for Scooter.
You know, Scooter Gennett's poker face is him smiling all the time.
It's a good point. Good point. You know, for the record, when you look back on the history of the All-Star game and hitting a home run late to tie a game, it was only the 3rd time in the history of the All-Star game that's happened in the 9th inning or later. Scooter fouling that one off, and you could hear his pain all the way up here. The other 2 guys that did it, Ralph Kiner all the way back in 1960, and Freddie McGriff in '94.
Well, just think about the reason why it hasn't been done very much. We're talking about the home run, the 9th inning of an All-Star game. Is because not only, normally the closer is your best pitcher on the team or one of, right? But in an All-Star game, he's not only the best pitcher on the team, he's one of the best pitchers on the All-Star team.
Yes.
That's why it's never been done. But I don't really think Scooter thinks about that. I mean, he is as simple as it gets as a hitter. Keep your head still, stay behind the baseball, and see the ball and hit the ball.
Well, the numbers are just incredible for Jeanette. His first 2 seasons with the Reds, he's already hit 40 or more home runs, knocking 150 or more runs. And one of only 5 Reds to do that going back to the 1960s. This ball in the air, he didn't get all of it. And it will be caught leaping up over the wall.
It's a nice catch.
In right field by Polanco. Just fractionally missed it. Good play by Polanco indeed. Just a hanging breaking ball, and Jeanette didn't quite catch it. But he did catch it. End of 1. No score. Each pitcher with a 1-2-3 opening inning. So here we go in number 2, and Tyler Mahle set to face Diaz, Moran, and Bell. We talked about the Pirates winning 6 in a row, 8 of their last 9, and during the 6 wins, they've been hitting the long ball, 10 of them. They had 5 in one game when they beat the Milwaukee Brewers on Saturday. They swept the Brewers over the weekend, you may remember.
5 games series, right?
That's right. Had a doubleheader in there. Brewers go into the All-Star break having lost 6 in a row. Of course, everybody back at it tonight. Broken bat. Base hit into left field for Diaz.
Well, a breaking ball that really didn't do a lot, and they got right in on the trademark, and you can see the piece of the bat shatter and fly all over the place right here, but he still was able to punch it by the third baseman.
Speaking of the Brewers, they are trailing at home in the bottom of the 7th inning against the Dodgers. That's a tough team to open the second half against. Dodgers playing so well. 3-1 LA that game in the 7th. And the Cardinals earlier today pounded the Cubs 18-5. 18 runs for the Cardinals. They're 2-0 under their new manager.
Yeah, they picked up a win in his very first ball game against the Reds. That was a getaway day.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I forgot they started the second half last night, so they did lose that first game.
To the Cubs yesterday.
My bad. Hook to the right side. That's a base hit for Moran. Diaz advancing on to second. Singles consecutively to start the Pirates inning.
Well, a breaking ball and a changeup, it looked like right there, the last two pitches that have gone for base hits for Mahle. And one thing that I've noticed about Mahle this year, he's throwing his slider a little bit more. And the changeup is a pitch that last year was problematic for him. He gave up a lot of hits on it last year. Batting averages were way up against that. That's a pitch that he's going to continue to try to develop, especially against left-handed hitters. Needs a good one right here to get a ground ball double play.
Josh Bell, the batter, at 261, 5 home runs, 46 knocked in. First pitch fastball, belt high, a strike.
7 out of 10 pitches Mahle will throw will be that fastball. I mean, he is old school when it comes to that.
Bell a year ago, you may remember, was the runner-up as the National League's Rookie of the Year to Cody Bellinger of the Los Angeles Dodgers. This was called a strike, and I'm not quite sure the Pirate bench or Josh Bell agree.
Yeah, they're chirping a little bit, no doubt, and that's enough. What home plate umpire Trip Gibson's going to tell him right there. He goes, you know, get over it. It's 10:25 and we're in the second inning.
There are only about, what, 2 Pirate players, maybe 3 standing out in the rain in their dugout. Not a single Red getting wet right now besides the manager, Jim Riggleman, and all the way at the other end of the dugout, it would be Billy Hatch.
What is that, an IQ check you're talking about here?
You said that. That was Chris Welsh. That wasn't me.
Well, Hatch has got a helmet on. I mean, the last time I looked, you know, those warm-ups that they give you in big league uniforms, they're as nice as they come, but they're not Gore-Tex, and they're not keeping the rain from getting through there. So sometimes maybe it doesn't bother them. There's the smart Reds in there staying nice and dry.
We'll see Matt Harvey in the series finale here on Sunday. Reds will come back with Anthony DeSclafani in Game 2 tomorrow night. I want to thank all the guys, the Reds Live crew, Kent Dreamweaver, the producer of that show, Ronnie Millinor, Brian Giesenslaw, of course, Dan Hoyd, Jeff Pecoro, working so hard, and many, many others down in the truck. The interviews were great with Dave Bristol and Freddie Norman. That's strike 3 to Bell, and all their hard work keeping you up to speed on what's going on with Reds baseball. A job well done to all. Great job.
Well-placed fastball right here just really tied Bell up. Looked like he tried to lift the ball the entire at bat, and he just was late on this fastball as it gets right by him.
So now Sean Rodriguez, we told you, activated off the disabled list, has been bothered with a strained quadricep muscle. Only a 145 batter. 3 home runs and 13 knocked in for the versatile Sean Rodriguez. Breaking ball, strike 1.
Guy can hit, though. He's always been a very good hitter off the bench, puts a ball in play. Good fastball hitter.
Fiery player, brings a lot of passion to the ballpark. Kind of guy, when he plays on your team, you love him. When he plays for the other team, not so much. Singles to start this inning by Diaz and Moran. A strikeout of Bell and quickly 0-2 on Rodriguez. Runner coming on to third base and will get in there safely. Both runners, in fact, advance. That'll be a throwing error on Malley.
Yeah, you really ask yourself why at this point. You've got a 1-2 count on the hitter. He's certainly in a defensive position. You think you got a guy picked off, but you know, he's going to move to third base. This is a situation really where Billy ought to think about maybe getting that ball into second to keep the trail runner getting into second base. So now 2 runners in scoring position, but still, if you're Tyler Malley, you're thinking, I'm ahead in this count right here, and this is where I'm going to put him away. They've been pitching him outside the entire at bat. Evidently, that's what the scouting report calls for.
Diving play by Suarez. Are you kidding me? Suarez in all-star form, taking away a hit and a couple of runs.
Had an extra base hit right there. I'm wondering if maybe he had inched a couple of feet more and closer to the third base line right there because there was a runner at third base, just to keep the runner at third, Diaz, a little bit closer. That put him in a spot to be able to make that backhanded grab. Nice throw. Little defense picks you up.
So after the intentional walk to Jordy Mercer, they're going to face Tyone, who has 3 hits all year long and has struck out 12 times. Tyone waiting. Ball 1. It's the first walk given up in the game by Tyler. One ball, one strike. Bases loaded for the Pirates here in the second inning. Couple of singles, an error, and an intentional walk. But the pitcher to get out to escape damage. And now ahead 1-2. Two balls and 2 strikes on Tyone. And a bouncer to Scooter's glove side. The Pirates leave them loaded. 2 hits and air, 3 left. Suarez, Winker, Duvall coming up.
Beautiful moment for me, beautiful experience. Be around all those star players, walking around the red carpet, and everybody asks you for something, picture, signing. For me, was excited. Walk with my kid, my daughter, my wife around me. I was excited. I can't forget this moment that I live in the All-Star game.
Well, I tell you what, guys, all 3 of them were so excited, but Eugenio Suarez always plays with a smile on his face. You got to feel so good for him. And before the game today, all 3 of them were given those plaques by the Reds for being an all-star, and all 3 of them just had a fantastic time. He had a great defensive play. The other 2 both had home runs in the game, so the Reds very well represented in the all-star game on Tuesday night.
Yeah, Dick Williams there to the far left, general manager Nick Krall to the right, and congratulations to those 3. Of course, 2 of them hit home runs in the game, Joey and, of course, Scooter.
Which makes you really wonder, when you look at these 2 rosters, you know, you start comparing them on paper, you know, position by position. I mean, the Reds have such a better roster, player-wise, quality-wise, in the starting 8 that you see out there. I mean, they had 3 position all-stars. The lone representative that the Pirates have is their closer, having a good year. Vasquez is, but still alone.
Well, it's all about the start, man. You know, a lot of times all you do is focus in, and the microscope certainly is turned up August and September, how you're doing down the stretch, especially if you're in the hunt. And very few ever talk about now March in Major League Baseball, but certainly it's been April and May. And when you only win 8 games of the first 35 you play, it is really, really tough to recover. But the Reds are doing the best they can. They played great. Here's Suarez. And a liner into left center field, a base hit.
Of course, Suarez got to be happy. He got a 0-2 fastball on the inner third of the plate right here. Tyone had not really, he's not throwing the ball where he has not wanted to all night, it seems like. He's thrown a lot of strikes, first pitch strikes, mostly fastballs to every hitter up there. And he had him 0-2, and he comes right down Broadway, and Suarez drops the hammer. He's throwing a lot more pitches down in the zone than the scouting report says on him.
Well, Tyone was a guy you may remember who broke Eugenio Suarez's thumb. That was the final game of that first road series of the year. The Pirates shut out the Reds 5-0. Taillon threw a one-hit complete game shutout. He hit Suarez on the thumb in the 4th inning of that game. Now Jesse Winker really finished the first half of the season in strong form. Batting average .293, on base percentage up over 400. 7 home runs, 42 knocked in for Winker.
You know, Taillon is really a couple of years behind development because of all the physical problems that he has had. Sidelined by cancer last year. He's just had one thing after another. Had a hernia problem one season that set him back. Made his major league debut at 24. He's now 26. That's the pitch that he's most recently added, that little slider. A little tight little break, 83 miles an hour. He's got a bigger breaking curveball. But he, pretty much like his counterpart, Tyler Mahle, really all around the strike zone. Command is their calling card.
And Winker against the shift just bangs one into left field, a base hit. So the Reds' second inning begins in identical fashion to the Pirates' second inning. Back-to-back singles.
Well, it looks like he got a slider that didn't slide very much. It didn't sink, it didn't move in, it just kind of hung right there on the outer part of the plate. And if there's a left-hander on this team that is willing to go the other way, as much or more as Joey Votto, it would be Jesse Winker. He uses that left field. Nice stroke staying behind a baseball.
And you see now an 11-game hit streak for the rookie Winker. So here's Adam Duvall. Batting average not much, only .204, but he does have 14 home runs and a whopping 60 runs batted in. Third most on the team.
Now you talk about that one game where Taillon hit Suarez on the thumb and pitched a one-hitter, looked so good. The Reds roughed him up pretty good on May the 22nd. They got him for 6 runs in 6 innings that day.
One ball and one strike. Those are the numbers Chris was referring to after we saw him in early April, and then a month and a half later, Reds had their way with him, although he did fan 8, you see, in that game. 1-1 pitch. Fastball off the inside corner. 2 balls and a strike on Adam Duvall. Slow off speed fools Duvall there. Reds had 3 players. We mentioned Duvall, the other 2 being Jeanette and Suarez, with 60 or more runs batted in at the All-Star break. First time the Reds have had that on a team since '69, managed by Dave Bristol. The late great Lee Mang, Tony Perez, and Bobby Tolan. Well, what a dynamic player Bobby Tolan was. Boy, oh boy.
Till he blew out his Achilles tendon.
Yep. Broken bat roller down to third. The only out they'll get is at first.
That throw by Colin Moran from third to first went a little bit wild right there, and he looks immediately down at his hand. Base coaches are going to think about this. With as wet as this field is, and it's been raining all day, ball kind of just slips out of his hands. Looks like a spitter over there to first base. So you're going to send the runners. When an outfielder has to chase a ball down, scoop it, it's going to pick up completely wet. You're going to take your chances on a night like tonight.
All right, so now it's Phillip Ervin with second and third and one out. They're going to pitch to Ervin. Pitcher on deck with one away in the inning. Told you Ervin just brought back up from the minor leagues when the Reds decided to go ahead and put Schebler on the DL, retroactive to the injury that occurred in Cleveland. Right back to the mound, and this will be the second out of the inning. I said Cleveland, I meant to say St. Louis, forgive me. That's when he went crashing into the wall, that right shoulder. Nice catch up against it. So let's see if Malley can help himself, something that Taillon could not do with the bases loaded ending the top of this second inning. That's a big out. That out of Ervin for Taillon.
I always wondered, Tom, I'm looking back at that Schebler injury, why you can build a stadium that costs you almost $1 billion to build, and why you can't make a fence that would be more outfielder friendly. So you'd see more players, crashing into the fence, try to get balls and so on.
It's a great point. Well, Bill DeWitt lives right down the street from you, and that tall Cotton neighborhood you're in. Go talk to him.
Of the Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, coming up this Wednesday, why not sneak out of work a little bit early? Have some lunch, baseball at the ballpark, only $20. With a Cincinnati Chamber Business Day special, you get a ticket plus $10 in concession credits. That's a good deal. Visit Reds.com/skipwork. Check it out. Well, with the rain still falling, the grounds crew has been extremely busy. And in between innings, they'll come out, throw some of that diamond dry around the mound area. We talked about Votto and Jeanette hitting home runs in the All-Star game. How about the defense we saw from Suarez? Nice play there. And really good here.
That was a play where Votto kind of picked him up a little bit, coming off the bag and then reaching out to tag the runner going down the line.
And here we are, first game back, and he's at it again. It's a big-time play. As Chris Welsh liked to say, that's big league.
Well, especially considering you had runners at second and third. By gloving the ball, you save a run and maybe an extra base hit. I mean, you save 2 runs and an extra base hit. By getting the man at first base really went a long way to get him out of the inning there. That was the second out of the inning off of Rodriguez.
Top of the order for the Pirates against Mahle in the third. No score in the game. Dickerson, Marte, and Polanco. Yep, we had nearly a 3-hour rain delay. Just short of it. Scheduled start time at 7:10. We began at 10:05 Eastern Standard Time. And continue to play through a pretty steady rain right now. Dickerson flied out to Billy Hamilton to lead off the game. Dickerson, the very best 2-strike batting average among all National League players this year. This guy doesn't walk. And he goes down on strikes.
Yeah, the good old hard one right there. That's the same pitch in the same location that he was able to strike out Josh Bell in the second inning. You know, Mahle's fastball, besides having some good backspin on it where it doesn't sink very much, it has a little bit of a cut to it. And the reason he has that is he steps slightly across his body.
Billy giving chase. He thought he had a beat on it. Here comes that throw into second base. And not going to be in time. Marte runs really well. That's a 1-out double. First extra base hit for either team tonight.
That ball looked like, you know, from our vantage point, Tom, we're directly behind home plate where we sit here at Great American. That's a slider that doesn't do much. And it looks like it's going to curve a little bit towards left center field. Then it comes back a little bit. Almost like it had a little double break on it, and Hamilton goes right off there and plays it as well as you can off the wall, but an easy double.
Well, we talked about Winker having the second longest hitting streak in the major leagues. The longest belongs to the man who just had that double. 13 in a row now for Starling Marte.
Putting a little koozie on. He's got one just like Billy Hamilton does.
Well, he has more stolen bases than Hamilton. Marte leads in Major League Baseball with 25 steals. The last Pirate to lead the major leagues in stolen bases over an entire year, you've got to go all the way back to the late 1970s. Omar Moreno. Remember him?
Oh, yeah. Tried to pick him off one time, about 15 times. Never worked.
Fly ball into left field. And that'll be the second out of the inning. Well, you've been known to throw over there a time or two. Well, I'd have hated announcing when you were. As you enjoy a Miller Lite, look forward to the whole true moment coming up later on in tonight's game.
Well, the feeling's mutual.
I have no doubt about that. Oh, that's funny. I mean, I can hear myself when you throw over for about the 11th. Holy Moses, what's this guy doing?
Of course, once I would have found that out, I would have thrown over more.
I know that. 2 down now for Diaz. He singled his first time up. And it's ball 1. Runner at second, 2 away, 1-1 on Diaz, and a fake throw back to second base. Now 2-1 on Diaz. Of course, the Pirates are out of Francisco Cervelli. What an outstanding year he was having. He is their regular catcher. And now Diaz getting most of the playing time. It's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cervelli suffering a concussion and has been on the disabled list since the 14th. He's due to come off tomorrow. Diaz started the season hitting in just the 130s as late as the month of May, but hit better than 270 in June. Likewise, so far here in July, getting regular playing time, and he's out on strikes on the breaking ball to retire the side. A hit, 1 left, 3 strikeouts for Mahle. We're still scoreless. Ford, Marte, Dickerson, and Polanco to his right and left. Moran, Mercer, Rodriguez for the injured Cincinnati native Josh Harrison. They worked him out before the game. They decided not to put him on the DL, but that's a tenuous situation for Harrison, the pride of Princeton High School and the University of Cincinnati. Billy Hamilton to lead things off. Number 9 batter to be followed by Peraza and Barnhart. Third inning of a scoreless game. Strike one to Billy, who ended the first half of the season with that batting average all the way up to 230. And you might say, oh, big deal, 230. Compared to where he's been most of the year, it was a big deal. He has been better than a 330 hitter over the last month plus, getting on base regularly, scoring regularly. Take a look at his average in June, 318. In July, 311, I beg your pardon. There's a swing and a miss, but that on-base percentage way up. He's out on strikes to begin the third inning.
Well, first time all night long that Jamison Tyone did not throw a first pitch strike to a Reds hitter. He was 9 for 9 before that high fastball missed to Peraza. It's got to make your pitching coach kind of happy.
Mm-hmm. One ball and one strike on Jose Peraza. He tapped out to third, leading off the Reds' first inning. You know, with all the stats there are out there in baseball, one of the stats that, you know, is among so many being, you know, available to research out there. And when you hear the term line drive, I think that's such a subjective term.
Mm-hmm.
But nonetheless, Peraza has 94 line drives this season. That is the third most in Major League Baseball, which when you watch him, and we sit up here and do virtually every game, I am stunned by that number. But again, I think it's a very subjective stat, don't you?
I don't know how they rank it. I mean, I would imagine that it has to do with numbers, probably a combination of launch angle and exit velocity. At least launch angle tell you what a line drive is, right? That would not be one of them.
And there's nobody at first, so it goes as a base hit. I don't know where Josh Bell was.
Well, he went to get the baseball. Now, I want to know where Tyone. I mean, it all comes down to the pitcher eventually. This is where Josh Bell is located, so he's going to, you know, think that he's going to be closest to that baseball, and he really was. He's going to go over there, and he finds himself in no man's land. But Tyone sees Bell originally. He just gets late getting over there. No reason why he ought to be late. And doesn't take you much of a hesitation to be late for Peraza because he can boot scoot it down the line. Now, that looks like a line drive in my scorecard.
It's a base hit, that's for sure. So here's Tucker with one on and one out, and he drops one into right field, a base hit. So now all of a sudden the heart of the order coming up, Jeanette and Suarez with one out in the inning.
That's exactly the way the inning started for the Reds in the second inning. First couple of batters reach on base hits. The difference there is that it was the bottom of the order that came up with a couple of guys on base, but now you've got Jeanette, Suarez, and Winker.
Scooter just missed hitting a home run in the first inning. Polanco reaching up over the wall and bringing it back. Jeanette didn't hit it very well. On a warm summer night, that ball's probably in the 4th or 5th row. The temperatures here tonight, even with the humidity pretty high, still in the, well, by now, mid-60s. This has certainly turned into a cool summer night. One ball, one strike on Jeanette. Scooter trying to get the Reds on the board here. Fastball ran in on his hands and dropped foul just above our booth.
Well, that's a good pitch right there that both these young pitchers, I mean, Tyone is 26, Malley is 23, but I mean, if you can get this pitch in that spot, there aren't a lot of left-handed pitchers or hitters that'll do anything with it.
Still a ball and 2 strikes. StatCast is powered by AWS.
Yeah, this is what you're really looking at right here is where, you know, the hitting coaches will tell you, hit it between the gaps. In fact, there's a time in batting practice that's what you try to do. Stay between the gaps with the baseball, meaning hit it up the middle. And Scooter does that very well.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Jeanette. 2 on and 1 out. And Tyone coming to the plate. Oh, got him tied up. Went right back to that fastball up and in, and he went around. 2 away in the inning.
You know, it's a lot harder to hold back on a high pitch on a check swing because your whole torso is turning. On a low pitch, your torso doesn't turn. You're throwing your hands down so the barrel of the bat gets the ball in the strike zone. But on that pitch that's up there, almost every time you're going to get rung up, even though you didn't mean to.
First 2 strikeouts of the game coming here in the 3rd for Tyone. Suarez hit an 0-2 fastball into left center for a single his first time up. Strike 1. Well, I mean, when this guy cuts it loose, man, not only does it have some giddy up, it's got a lot of movement.
Well, he's got a long stride, so it gets on you a little quicker, too. Big guy. I mean, he's 6 feet 5 inches tall, so he's got a long arm delivery, and he gets good extension.
Nothing in 1 on Suarez, trying to break this scoreless tie in the last of the 3rd inning. Breaking ball sweeps away, a ball and a strike.
And what I mean by extension is that the radar gun only tells part of the story. It tells you how fast the pitch is. But if you look like you're throwing 95 and you throw 95, you're going to get hit. Tyone is a little closer to home plate than a lot of other pitchers because he reaches out with his pitch and he releases it a little bit closer. And that's what really matters to the hitter. We used to say this about Aroldis Chapman. He had a long stride right there. I mean, 6'5", way out there. So he may be 3, 4, 6 inches closer to home plate than a lot of other pitchers. And that's what you get when you hear somebody say sneaky fastball. Teams are on that, though. They don't only go by the radar reading.
2-1 to Suarez, 2 on, 2 out. That ball's in the air, short right center. Who wants it? It'll be Polanco, and the Reds strand 2 for the 2nd straight inning. No score, end of 3.
All-Star break, and while that meant a trip to D.C. for Votto, Scooter, and Suarez, let's find out what the rest of the Reds were up to.
I went home to New Jersey and was at the house and just kind of relaxed. Spent a lot of time with some family and went to a Dave Matthews concert. So that was a lot of fun.
I was in Las Vegas. It was hot. It was hot in Vegas. It was miserably hot. So I'm glad that I got back here in a little bit cooler weather.
So I went home to Texas for 3 days. I did some housework and fixed some stuff that was broken around the house. And then I came back and enjoyed a day off in Cincy yesterday.
It's always kind of interesting. Shannon, thanks a lot. It's interesting to hear those stories of what guys do, you know, especially the Jared Hughes thing there, talking about, hey, look, I got stuff around my house. I got to get fixed. I've been gone going all the way back to February when pitchers and catchers reported in Arizona, and they come right to Cincinnati. And, you know, they don't have a day to go home and get stuff fixed up around the house.
Spoken like a true handyman.
There's no doubt about that. One of the all-time greats. Put that screwdriver right on the nail and, you know, let her rip. You know what I mean?
Keep your thumb out of the way.
Yeah, especially the screwdriver. I mean, you know, when you go that and you hit the screwdriver into the nail, and it's good stuff. Top of the 4th inning, 4 hits for the Reds, 3 hits for the Pirates, no runs for either team. Colin Moran came over in the deal for Garrett Cole from Houston during the offseason. Was not the regular third baseman when the season began. Was sharing time down there with David Freese, but he is fully entrenched as their regular third baseman now. He's been solid. He hasn't been great, but he's been solid. One ball and 2 strikes. Shot into left field, a base hit for Moran. So the hit's even now at 4 apiece. Leadoff man aboard for the second time through the first 4 innings against Malley. Had a pitch out of a bases loaded jam, pardon me, Chris, in the second.
Moran had a base hit on a breaking ball. He pulled it into right field his first time. So that time Malley comes after him with a fastball and he dumps it into left field. Of course, there was no room at the end for him in Houston. Playing third base over there. That's well protected by Alex Bregman. 20 home run hitter.
Strike called to Josh Bell. Big strikeout was Bell for Malley after the first 2 reached in that Pittsburgh second inning. One ball and 1 strike on Bell. You know, with McCutchen being traded to the Giants during the offseason, after the year Bell had as a rookie, they certainly were putting him in a position to become the face of this Pirate franchise moving forward. And it's been a tough go for him so far in his sophomore season.
I think part of that, Tom, is the fact that he's trying to hit, it looks to me anyway, that he's trying to hit home runs. Last year he hit 26 bombs, drove in 90. This year he's got 5 home runs. He's still on a pace to drive in around 90, but he's wondering probably where that power went.
Well, I think there are a lot of guys around baseball asking that question after we had the record-setting year last year. That'll be a wild pitch advancing Moran onto second base. We've documented so many times, and the Pirates as much as any team, how many guys were averaging 8, 9, 10, 11 home runs a year in their career, and then last year they're hitting 27, 24, 29, whatever the number might be. That happened everywhere. And that'll be a walk to Bell. The Pirates put the first 2 on in the second inning, could not score. They put the first 2 on here in the fourth.
And the Reds have put the first 2 on twice in a row, too.
Manage your dream team in franchise mode, plus get weekly stats, roster updates, and more. Learn more at RBIGame.com. Rated E for everyone. Two walks given up in a game by Mahle. The other was intentional. And the 0-1 coming. Swing and a miss by Rodriguez. No balls and 2 strikes on Rodriguez, who had a hit, an extra base hit, and a couple of runs batted in, taken away on a diving play made by Suarez behind the third base bag in the second inning.
You know, Rodriguez is telling himself, I was right on both of these fastballs, and I'm fouling them straight back here when I think I'm on them. Last thing you want to do if you're Mahle is give him something where he speeds his bat up and you throw it in the zone. Better keep that pitch on him again, aren't they? Fastball it is.
Yep. And I think that would have gone in the radio booth if they didn't have the windows closed over there. Or did they finally open them up?
I think they might have.
Well, they finally opened them tonight.
Yeah.
How about that? Cowboy, Jeff Brantley, and of course Jim Day filling in for Marty Brenneman over the 3 games of this series. Marty becoming an old man by the sea.
Spending a couple of nights in a lighthouse.
Yes, in Maine. Rugged outdoorsman.
I can see him with the long white beard. The
Oh,
pipe,
yeah.
waiting for the tide to come back in.
No question. Captain. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Well, now 3 balls and 2 strikes. It goes 2 on Rodriguez. Payoff pitch coming with 2 on and nobody out. 3-2 on the way. Down to third and by the third baseman into left field. They're going to wave around Moran. He will score. That's quite an at-bat for Rodriguez. And the Pirates take a 1-0 lead here in the 4th inning. It's good at-bat.
Well, it was Rodriguez that hit the ball down to third base his last time up. The backhanded, splendid defensive play by Suarez. This time the slider, he gets the ground ball. And if it's right at the third baseman, you've got a double play ball. But that ball gets by Suarez and dribbles into left field.
Well, now a quick visit to the mound, the first of the game, as Barnhart visits Mahle. We have Mercer coming up. Single walk, single producing the game's first run.
And neither base hit really hit all that especially hard. Opposite field, little dumper by Moran, and then that little seeing eye base hit that plates the run.
Mercer was intentionally walked to load the bases his first trip to the plate. Mercer's had a good solid first half to this season. I mean, batting way down in that 8 hole. He's been there for a long time. You know, hitting the 250s. He's got 31 knocked in. He's got 22 doubles. I mean, that's more doubles than any of the Reds' regular, I mean, the big time guys. That's more doubles than Jeanette, Suarez, Votto, any of them.
Well, you would think, though, that over the years, and Mercer's been here a long time. This is the 8th year in the major leagues. Every year has been with the Pirates. He's about a 256 lifetime hitter. Doesn't have a lot of power. You know, hit you 3, 4 home runs a year. Makes every play a shortstop that he gets to. But somewhere along the line, you know, that you think that they would have brought up a shortstop out of their minor leagues to push him a little bit, and that's really never happened.
Well, you know, it reminds me until last year, really. I mean, Cozart's year was a career year that he's ever had, and so many of us just remember what he did last year. But his numbers are very similar. Now, Cozart would hit a few more home runs. That ball is tagged, but foul. You know, very similar. I mean, you could have probably asked the same question about the Reds. Did they not have anybody that could have stepped in for Zach Cozart for the last 8, 9, 10 years?
Yeah, I misspoke there about Mercer's power. About 11 home runs a year is what he's going to give you, somewhere between 10 and 14. I think 14 is his high water mark, and that happened last year.
Tapper to short. Nice play by Peraza. They get one, and that's all they'll get. It was also a nice play by Jeanette at second. That ball was thrown down in the dirt.
Yeah, that's why they didn't even have a chance to turn the double play, because Jeanette was just happy to be able to get his glove on it. Nice pick by Peraza. I mean, this was a very tough short hop as he charged his baseball. Then the feed went bad. Little pop-up slide right there by Rodriguez made sure there was no double play.
Tapper to Duvall will plate a run. And Duvall feeding Jeanette. It's well done by Tyone.
I don't think that was a safety squeeze. That was the suicide squeeze all the way. It looked like the runner was coming in from third base as soon as the pitcher cocks his arm behind his right ear. That's the time the runner at third base takes off. And Tyone gets it down.
Beautifully done.
Here comes Bell. That could have been a safety squeeze. I think he waited until he saw that ball down.
I think you're right.
Although he's lucky that Tyone didn't bunt through that ball, because had he done that, he would have been a dead duck picked off on a back pick there by over third base.
It's not like Tyone's been a great bunter this year. That's only his third sacrifice all year long, and the fly ball to left will end the inning. And apparently there's a tiny little kitten that got into this playing field. Hopefully they can find that little one a home. Scared to death. 2-0 game.
before and after games and catch funny moments on and off the field. Follow along with Fox Sports OH.
Look at that little kid.
Maybe you saw it right as the pitch came. Furry feline running behind home plate. Eventually that little kitty cat jumped into the stands and
finally figuring out where to try to get out of there. Hopefully they'll get that little one. You know, that's the whole story really behind the whole Tony La Russa movement in starting that Animal Rescue Foundation, acronym of ARF, where he was a major league manager. Not that he, wasn't crazy about animals, but never grew up with them and that kind of thing. And he told a story about when he was a manager. There's a pop-up in his short right that'll fall in for Jesse Winker. So Winker, a perfect 2 for 2 tonight. Anyway, just to finish that thought, that has turned into a multi-million-dollar charitable organization. And it all began when La Russa was a manager and a cat ran out on the field. And, he watched the whole procession and then realized how terrified that animal was and was really moved by it. And it's been an incredible story about what he started there. He has multiple locations now across the country. It was a good story. In their strike. Pirates in front 2-0. We're here in the bottom of the 4th inning. Barely a little bit of mist still falling down. By far the lightest we have played in so far tonight. Some hardcore folks have stayed around for this. 2 balls and a strike on Duvall. Duvall out of there swinging, and that's 3 strikeouts now in the game by Tyone. Well, for Red, it's a home run off that Toyota sign tonight in right center. Dan Yeager from Lakeside Park, Kentucky, will win that beautiful new Tundra you see on display at the ballpark every day, thanks to your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. 1 on, 1 out for Urban. He was a huge out for Tyone in the 2nd inning, when the Reds had 2nd and 3rd and only 1 out. They pitched to Urban and he hit a tapper back to the mound, and the Reds would strand those runners when Malley was retired to end the inning. 2-2 on Irvin. And now a quick message from Miami Valley Gaming.
Get ready to get lucky.
And he got ahead of Irvin. Now he's gone 3 breaking balls in a row to run the count 3-2.
And the runner over at first with 1 out is Winker, held on over there by Bell.
You send him here?
No. You?
No. And
2
that's
away
why.
in the inning. Yep, that's
Diaz is good. He's a very good catch and throw guy, at least as far as his arm strength goes. He has thrown out 8 attempted base stealers so far this year. Giving up 18 stolen bases. That's throwing out about 30% of them. That's pretty good.
Now Malley will bat. He hit a comebacker to the mound, stranding 2, ending the 2nd inning. Pirates with a 2-0 lead, scoring twice in the top of this 4th. And that's ball 1. Malley not much with a bat so far this year. Basically right where Tyone is. 3 hits and now 28 at bats on the season. 2-0. Threw a fastball right by him to even a count of 2 balls and 2 strikes. Pretty good eye there by Malley. Now 3-2.
He may want to choke up a little bit. Malley should. At least based on his last swing.
And that will retire the side. Leadoff single, 3 straight strikeouts. 2-0 Pirates. We go to the 5th.
And now it's time for Built for Baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. What a day for Matt Carpenter. 3 home runs, 2 doubles, 7 RBI. Just the second player in MLB history to have 5 extra base hits in a game in the first Cardinal. 3 homers, 2 doubles, 7 RBI. Cardinals win it 18-5 over the Cubs. Yikes. That's getting it done, boys, right there. Look at these shots. That was a pretty nice day for Mr. Carpenter in Wrigley Field against the Cubs.
2-0 ball game. We go to the top half of the 5th inning. Pirates in front. Maui to face 2, 3, and 4 in the Pirate batting order. Marte, Polanco, and Diaz. Marte, 1 of 2, has bounced to third and doubled over the head of Billy Hamilton in center field his last time up. Each team with 5 hits, but the Pirates able to break through on a single by Rodriguez in the 4th, and then a squeeze bunt put down by Tyone, bringing in the 2nd run. Reds left 2 on in the 2nd. They had 2 on with nobody out. They had 2 on with 1 out in the 3rd. And Tyone was able to retire both Jeanette and Suarez to get out of trouble. Three balls and 2 strikes. Not a terrible pitch count, but not a great pitch count for Maui. With nobody out here in the 5th inning, sitting at 75. He's had a number of these deep into counts. Another full count. And here it comes to Marte, the payoff pitch to lead off the Pirate 5th. Got him to pop it up. That'll bring Polanco to the plate. A pair of fly balls at the left fielder Winker for the Pirate right fielder. Straight up in the air. And Suarez has it for the 2nd out. Two and 3 in the batting order, retired here by Maui to start the 5th, and now Diaz, who is singled to left field and struck out. Closing in on midnight Eastern time. This game did not start until 5 minutes after 10 o'clock. For those of you just getting back home late night, maybe you're wondering how in the world this game is only in the 5th inning. Her attire should give you a reason why. Take a look at her. She is close to DUN. He's nowhere close. One eye open. And she's asking herself, am I really in this for the long haul? There's a liner to short. Hopefully she means just this game and not with him. Green Pie Wednesdays by your local Ford dealer, Ford. Go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranked number 2 now in the nation by U.S. News and World Report. Bottom of the 5th inning, Reds come to the plate against Tyone. Trailing 2-0. Moran gets rid of it quickly. 1 pitch, 1 out to get Billy Hamilton. Hamilton 0 for 2. Strikeout and a bounce out. And that will bring to the plate for the 3rd time tonight the leadoff batter, Jose Peraza. He was credited with a base hit. Should have been a hit, although he broke his bat. And I'm not so sure the ball, had you just let it roll, would have ever made it beyond the infield dirt. But it turned into a broken bat single. Strike 1. That'll be 3 pitches and 2 outs for Tyone. Here in the 5th.
We were talking before the game time. We have plenty of time to do that between the scheduled time and the actual start time, about a statistic that you read somewhere today that I thought was fascinating about how the Reds, as aggressive as they are, still are one of the teams that you lead the league in walks. And anybody knows who pitches against the Reds know that they come right out of the batter's box or the on-deck circle ready to swing the bat, as is evident in this inning. 3 pitches, 2 outs.
Yeah, the Reds hitters, that's right. They have the most walks in Major League Baseball. Almost 380. But as a team, they average 3.7 pitches per plate appearance, which is the fewest in Major League Baseball. It is a statistic, or a pair of statistics, that are almost impossible to believe could be for the same team, but they are. So they swing early like you're talking about in an inning like this, and maybe they walk fast.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now, one thing they have done is that they've missed a chance to score even more runs than they have so far this year. There's a ground ball down to first, and that'll be a 1-2-3 inning for Tyone, his first since the opening inning.
Go back to 2015 versus the Mets, and the play by Brandon Phillips at second. Who's that shortstop? Eugenio Suarez, but the great play around the back by Phillips. Man, a fantastic flip, and that's brought to you by Geico. By the way, Phillips signed by the Boston Red Sox in Pawtucket right now as he's trying to make his way back to the major leagues. But a great play by Phillips and Suarez there against the Mets, guys.
Thank you very much, Pick. You know, one of the things they have going on here this weekend, a lot of major league teams do it. And Pick, you were talking about it because you have a son who is autistic. And you and I were talking earlier. They had a young man this entire weekend. What's the exact term? Developmental Disabilities Weekend. So we're going to see in a lot of different roles around the ballpark, including the young man who sang our national anthem here tonight. I mean, what a job he did.
It was fantastic, and to see these teams all around baseball doing this for these young people is just outstanding, Tommy. And they've given so much money back to this as well. I mean, autism has exploded over the last 15 or 20 years, and it's great to see Major League Baseball do this. And you see Down syndrome, Teddy Kramer, of course, our bat boy tonight.
Yeah, great to have him back here. And for parents like yourself, and there's so many of them out there, like you said, the minister of our church has a 16-year-old son, autistic, and all the incredible challenges for those moms and dads, obviously, along with those young and not so young people. Correct. But lots of love there. Am I right or wrong?
Oh, no, you're exactly right. And it's great to see these guys living a normal life as they can. Teddy here works at the ballpark, and just today he's doing the bat boy thing, but he works here for the Reds. So it's great to see that.
Boy, Teddy's a piece of work, man.
He goes at it, doesn't he?
He is smiling all the time, seeing a lot of him at charity events around town.
Hustles.
Oh, yeah, he's a fun guy. Think the world of his mom and dad.
And he loves his Reds.
Yes, he does. Does he ever? Foul ball out of play. The young man who I got to see if I can find who sang our national anthem tonight, because he was really, really good. Kyle Mounts sang the national anthem. You could tell he was really nervous at first. He started off and you could just say it. But here's the end, and man, did he finish strong.
Oh, the man is the home of the brave.
Well, his reaction is just priceless. Man, you know he was so nervous, so excited. Mom and Dad were there. It was awesome. I mean, you sit around 3 hours during a rain delay, and then all of a sudden you are treated to that. That's good stuff. Congratulations. Kyle, you were great. There's a base hit into right center by Moran. Second time he's led off an inning with a base hit, and he's 3 for 3 in the game. Well, I don't know what happens to Moran after he faces everybody else, but whenever the Reds see him, all he does is hit rockets everywhere. So whatever their scouting report is on him, or either they're just not executing pitches, because he has worn the Reds out. Activity for the first time down in the Reds bullpen. David Hernandez starting to loosen up. Nobody out here in the 6th inning, and this will be the 94th pitch in this game thrown by Mahle. That has been the one consistent with all of these Reds pitchers this year, and there's a walk. All right, here's Kyle Weisker, our PA announcer in this inning.
The second baseman, number 3, Sean Rodriguez.
Boy, he sounds good, man. Joe Z standing there behind him. He better not drift too far away. Kyle Weisker, great job. Danny Darwin visits Mahle on the mound for the first time tonight. This is started the way the Pirates inning started in the 4th. In fact, the same way, the same 2 hitters. Moran with a single and then a walk to Bell. And both of those guys wound up scoring. Understand that Kyle Weisker is a pride of Oak Hills High School. Now Rodriguez. And that is launched. Is it fair? It is to the second deck. A 3-run home run by Rodriguez takes it to a 5-0 Pittsburgh lead. He's knocked in 4 of the 5 runs.
Pretty good night coming off the disabled list. And activated for the first time in a while. He jumps all over a first pitch slider right here.
That was a slider that got him the last time, wasn't it?
One of those old cement mixers.
This one in the air to left. Winker will handle it, and that'll take care of Mercer. That's another thing we were talking about, is as good at times as some of these young pitchers have been, and we've seen it. But, you know, another constant along with high pitch counts and, you know, a lot of nibbling around is the home run ball. I mean, home runs have just killed the duo of Mahle and Castillo. They're among the league leaders in home runs surrendered. That is 18 of them now, given up by Tyler Mahle. And it seems frequently, Chris, those home runs are coming in situations like we see tonight, where, you know, you're in the 6th inning, you've only given up 2 runs, and then before you know it, bang, 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 you give up a long one, and now it's a 5-run game.
Well, nowadays, with more and more teams trying to hit home runs, you're going to naturally give up more. But at the same time, if you can figure out a way to keep the ball in the ballpark, and, you know, all you got to do is go back and look at the quality of the pitch. And it'll tell you that, you know, you throw 2 good pitches and then you make 1 mistake pitch and it costs you 3 runs.
Straight up in the air and playable left side of the infield for Suarez. This will be out number 2.
And I'm really not so sure, Tom, that you can blame a lot of the home runs on the small ballpark here in Cincinnati. Great American will give up its share of homers, especially when it's really hot. You talked about that earlier. I mean, that one that was hit off Mahle was a second deck job.
Yep. Yeah, that'd have been out of every park in the league. So now Dickerson for the 4th time. He's 0 for his first 3.
You know, if you're going to give up home runs, if you just could develop a knack for giving up the solo shots. So when you have runners on base, you really bear down and you finish the pitch. Sounds easy to do, but it's one of the hardest things to do in pitching, is actually finish your pitch at the very end. And you get a little extra break. You get a little extra movement on your fastball. You just get a little bit lazy and it just kind of rolls up there. I mean, Dickerson, batting average wise, is the best hitter in this lineup. But he has done nothing on the night. 0 for 3 with a strikeout.
Two and 2 on Dickerson. 5-0 Pirates lead it. And another 3-2 count. This will be the 108th pitch of the night for Mahle, and I'm sure this will unquestionably be his final inning of work. It might even be his final batter, depending on the result of this at bat. Hernandez is ready to go in the bullpen. Most pitches he's thrown in a game was 113. That was on the final day of June. And he's knocking on that door now. It's another foul ball off out of play by Dickerson. Pitch number 111. Hoping this will be the final pitch in this 3-run Pirates 6th inning. And that ball's blasted into right, and that's another Pirate run. 6-0 game. And that's got to be all for Malley.
Yeah, you got to hand a little bit of credit to the hitter right there. Corey Dickerson fouled off about 4 pitches before he finally got Malley to hang one to him. But it's come apart in a big way here in the 6th inning.
That's back-to-back disappointing outing by Tyler Malley. I mean, he was on an incredible roll, the kind of roll you knew wasn't going to last forever for any pitcher, really, outside of guys like Kershaw and Sale and Verlander and guys like that. But this is 2 in a row where he's been knocked around pretty good. Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Brings on David Hernandez. Pittsburgh 6th inning. It was a 2-0 game when the Pirates came to the plate here in the 6th, and now taking over is David Hernandez. Man, this guy's been money. I mean, it doesn't matter when you pitch him. He has been so good. 6-0. Buccos in front. It's out of town for the first time in a while. Well, time for tonight's IGS Bringing the Energy, since he took over officially as a starter last year. Now, this is in 156 games. If you go back to the 19th of July last season, look at where Scooter Gennett ranks among all second basemen in the National League. Highest batting average, most hits, second in home run and ribbies, fourth in doubles and runs scored. Wow. Basically a year ago yesterday. So now this game clearly in the hands of one Jameson Tyone. He's been spotted to a 6-0 lead after the 4-run top of this inning. Final numbers on Malley: 5 2/3, 8 hits, 6 earned runs, 3 walks, 3 strikeouts. And Scooter will draw the walk. Well, Kroger and the Reds are proud to team up to offer you a great value this season. The Kroger meal deal really is a great deal. You can check concession stands around the ballpark when you're here. Kroger meal deal means a hot dog, you get a bag of chips, a 16-ounce Coke, and during this homestand, Laura's lean beef jerky. Make sure to get your Kroger meal deal, all for a total of $9. Suarez looks at strike one. Well, one thing we've learned from these Reds is they never believe they're out of a game. I mean, we've seen some just improbable comebacks. That last road trip is a prime example. Saw the huge run totals, you know, in Cleveland and also in St. Louis, the first 2 games of that series. It came from the 7th inning on. Big, crooked numbers. Chop foul. You know, before many of you turn in, and let's face it, at 12 after 12 in a 6-0 game, there might be some of you on your way to that very spot. Understandable, indeed. But I'd like to remind you that tomorrow we have the induction ceremony, the on-field induction ceremony of the 3 Reds members going to the Hall of Fame, the class of 2018. In fact, Adam Dunn's here tonight. He's hanging out with his longtime, very close friend, the Reds of Media Relations Director Rob Butcher. And there you see Dick Williams. Big Adam Dunn hanging out.
Double fisting.
Hey, That's a Texan. It's a big Texan.
Those are big hands or small cans. I don't know which.
You're right about that. Good to have Dunn back in town. Boy, he and Rob Butcher, Rob Butcher to the far left there, but long time director of media relations for the Reds. But anyway, we're going to have the induction ceremony on the field, from the field, tomorrow, that is scheduled to begin right at 6:30. So, a couple of things to keep in mind if you're coming down the ballpark. Come a little on the early side, so you make sure you're here for all of that. And if you're going to tune in, we will carry that entire ceremony beginning at officially 6 o'clock with the Reds Live tomorrow, but ceremony at 6:30. And we understand that Adam Dunn is going to be joining us in the booth. Chris, that's awesome of you to be able to corral him up here.
Well,
he's got such a busy weekend, and for you to take the time to run him down, and the ability to run him down, is very much appreciated. I know Reds fans are going to look forward to that tomorrow night. Suarez out on strike.
Well, I wish I could say I had something to do with that. I'm always looking forward to seeing Adam Dunn again, but your special moment on the field tomorrow, when during the induction, you'll be handling the induction ceremony right on the field. 6:30 pregame with all the on-field ceremonies. Of course, Fred Norman and Dave Bristol and you and Adam Dunn reunited again after a long time. It ought to be a very special afternoon. I'm looking forward to it big time.
Well, me too, and the entire families of all those guys, the Normans, the Bristols, and certainly the Dunn family. And that'll be a great night. Very honored and privileged that they asked me to do it. You know, this year my dad couldn't be in town. Sailing to do and lighthouses to fix up. He couldn't be here this year.
You have to keep those lights burning.
Yes, you do. Keep those ships away from the rocks. Two 2-0 on Jesse Winker, a perfect 2 for 2 tonight. Swing and a miss on a fastball. That ball smoked into right center field off the bat of Winker. And that ball is against the wall on his way to third is Scooter. They're going to wave him around. He'll easily score. And how about Jesse Winker? 3 for 3, 2 singles, a double, and now a run batted in, and the Reds are on the board here in the 6th inning. It's a 6-1 ball game.
Well, he hit that one especially hard. Winker had a good swing on a pitch earlier on a 2-0 count that was just out of the strike zone. This time he's able to center it right on the sweet part of the bat. A fastball kind of going down and away from him, and caught a lot of the plate right here. Got a sweet swing. So that's going to be all for Tyone. Wow. Reds tried to get one extra inning out of their starter, Tyler Malley, and it really imploded on him when he gave up 4 in the 6th. And Clint Hurdle is not about to let that happen here to his starter.
Well, his bullpen has been really good here of late. Really good. And the Reds are hoping that will not continue here tonight. go in this one. It's only the bottom of the 6th inning. Pirates with a 6-1 lead. The Reds have another runner in scoring position, Winker, after the run scoring double, and now they'll replace Tyone with right-hander Richard Rodriguez.
They signed him as a free agent over the winter back in December, Rodriguez. He had a cup of coffee really with the Baltimore Orioles last year, but he is now in his 35th ball game, having a really nice season.
Well, you can get Duvall to run into one here, and boy, you're really back in this thing. Duvall tonight is 0 for 2, is bounced to third and struck out swinging. Fastball up and away. Duvall a swing and a miss, and that'll be all for him for the second out of the inning.
Pretty good breaking ball Rodriguez has. He dropped it on Duvall to start the at bat, and then he comes with a little tighter slider right there, down and away. Not a lot of spin on that pitch.
So Rodriguez takes care of the first batter he faces. Now it'll be Irvin. Strike one. Irvin getting a chance to start tonight, not only because of Schebler going on the disabled list, but the fact that Votto's not in the lineup his first game back, and it forced the Reds to move Duvall into first to replace Votto. So Phillip getting a chance right from the get-go. One ball and two strikes.
I think part of the thinking about putting Irvin in the ball game tonight is that he, unlike all the rest of these Reds except the All-Stars, a lot of these guys have had 3-4 days off, and he's been playing every day down in Louisville, so you kind of keep him in the rhythm of things. What happens a lot, you bring a young man up out of AAA, first thing he does is sit on the bench for 4 or 5 days.
Well, that's what we saw when Dieterson Herrera came up initially. And a tapper to the right side will end the inning. So Rodriguez retires the 2 batters he faces. Reds get a run. They're down by 5. We go to the 7th.
Manny Machado comes over from the Orioles for 5 prospects. Machado, of course, a .315 hitter, 24 homers and 65 RBI. And the Indians got some relief for their bullpen. They acquired Brad Hand and Adam Simber from the Padres. Hand had 24 saves, Simber 51 strikeouts and just 10 walks. Hand tonight gave up a home run in the 8th inning. The Indians still playing in that one. And Machado for the Dodgers, 2 for 3 with a couple of walks in the Dodger win. And it looks as though the Curious familiar probably traded from the Mets today, the Oakland A's. It's not official yet, but more trades as the trade deadline looms. And what will the Reds do? Will they hold pat? Will they be buyers? Will they be sellers? We shall see. Gentlemen.
You know, the Oakland A's, you just mentioned their pick. I mean, that is just an incredible story as Reds are going to go to their bullpen again. And they're going to bring in Austin Bryce after Hernandez retired, the only batter he faced. So 1/3 of an inning perfect for David. Anyway, the A's, I mean, this team looked completely dead in the water about 3.5 weeks ago. And then all of a sudden, they win seemingly every night to go to 13 games over 500. They are very much in the thick of the wild card race. I mean, they are right there knocking on the door. And now all of a sudden, who would have thunk the Oakland Athletics become buyers? Here's another team, Chris. I mean, you brought it up earlier with this Pirate team. I mean, it all comes back to pitching. It all comes back to pitching. Hamilton will not be able to handle that drive to center field. It looked like the ball was jarred loose when he made contact with the wall, and he may have slammed not only his back but his head up against that wall, and he appears to be shaken up a little bit out there. That'll be a 3-base hit for Polanco.
I think he thought he was right up against the wall and then realized that he had a little bit more room than he thought Hamilton did. And it goes off his top tip of his glove. Then you can see he kind of jarred his neck as his back of his head went in there. Boy, the outfield walls and Reds outfielders lately. Schebler's on the DL because he ran into a wall in St. Louis, very similar to a play like this.
You know, when they talk about the sport of football and all the concussions they have in that, the overwhelming majority of the time, it is not a direct shot to the head that causes the concussion. It's when a player is hit and then their head slams down on the ground, kind of like it was there with Hamilton. You know, his head, in a whiplash-like way, goes smashing in against a wall behind him, and that's when a lot of concussions are caused. Runner at third, nobody out. 1 ball, 1 strike on Diaz. Slider started to go. He did not go around.
I mean, really, what harm would it do for MLB to add another 4 inches of padding to these walls?
Well, you brought it up earlier.
I mean, I want to see outfielders running into the wall to make a catch, but I don't want to see them running into the wall and not getting back up again.
I think most people would feel in complete agreement with you on that.
I think it would also add a little excitement, you know, a ball that would bound off the wall a little bit more, like a spring-like action. Add another dimension to the game.
I'm with you all the way. See a lot more triples and inside the park home runs and all that kind of thing if you gave it a little spring off that wall, don't you think?
I wouldn't want to see my players, you know, running into a wall and trying to make a catch, end up getting hurt and then shying away from making that catch later on. At the same time, I wouldn't want them, you know, it's the same way you're trying to protect catchers at the plate.
Base hit into right field by Diaz, and that'll get the run right back. The Pirates surrendered in the Reds' 6th inning. 2 hits tonight for Diaz, and his first run batted in. 7-2 Bucks.
Now he hits this one very hard, Diaz does. The ball just about waist high, takes it the other way. Hey, I like those little stockings there, Tom.
I like them. I like them a lot.
Hey, he's the only one of the Pirates, I think, that are wearing his uniform like that, but they've got the bridge, the pedestrian bridge we walk across to get to PNC Park.
The Roberto Clemente Bridge, right?
Yeah.
Pulled foul. Trying to remember what the big giveaway was that last time we were in Pittsburgh, and then you and I and Jesse and Jim Day and those
Hawaiian
Father's Day shirts.
Yeah.
And you know, we weren't going to wear those, the Pirates, but you wore shorts out that night, if I remember correctly. And it was a warm, beautiful night. We were bouncing around, you know, Pittsburgh, finding somewhere to eat cash all the way. There's a foul ball out of play off to the third base side. I think if you wear those shoes that you had on that night. I mean, did that little guy make that play, or did the big fella make it?
The big fella made it, but he had a one-handed catch. I mean, it was a good one, too.
Look at the big man. Let's see this. Look at that. Oh, man. Dad's a hero to start. He's on top of the mountain tonight. And I like the casual approach. You know what I mean? Not standing up and hands in the air and look at me. And I mean, that's just a gamer. Lined into right, and Urban. Snow cone-like fashion. Goes up to get it.
I think Colin Moran thought he had one right here, and this ball just kind of comes right down, and you're right about the snow cone. Very athletic player is Irvin.
You know, just to finish that thought there, I was thinking about you wearing those socks around Pittsburgh. Would you even consider that if they don't have Pirates on them? It was just a skyline sort of thing?
Absolutely, yeah.
You would?
Yeah.
I think Jesse might look pretty good in those socks. You know, maybe something with a Roebling bridge. We'll do it in red. Jesse, you game for that?
I would do that.
That'd be good.
I mean, I wear a belt with, you know, bow ties all
right,
right?
Right. There's one, and a double play will end the inning. Pirates get one back, middle of the 7th, 7-2, 7-1, Pirates in front. Get to this Sunday's game with a Hotel Transylvania ticket package. We have special character appearances by Drac and Mavis. And this limited edition bobblehead is only available through this offer. Get yours at reds.com/themes this morning, since we are in the wee hours of Saturday morning. So Jamison goes to front 5 1/3, allows a single run. Rodriguez retires the only 2 batters that he faces with a strikeout. And the Pirates will continue to dip into that bullpen as they will bring on the right-hander Michael Feliz.
Feliz, a young guy, 25 years old. He was part of that trade that sent Garrett Cole from Pittsburgh over to Houston, along with Colin Moran and Joe Musgrove. Those are the 3 players the Pirates got in return. That guy's hanging right in there, isn't he?
He sure is. He's looking good.
40 minutes after midnight and bright-eyed and ready to go.
Hey, you know, this is when the youngsters, I mean, look, you know, your kids are all grown up now, or nearly grown up now, and, you know, mine are nowhere close to being grown up. When they get to stay up this late at night, brother, it doesn't get any better than this. So that young man is hanging out late night tonight.
Well, this is late unless it's a sleepover.
That's right.
Then it's still very, very early.
Very well put. Dilson Herrera will come to the plate. Herrera is batting for Austin Bryce. Goes an inning, allows a couple of hits and a run. Hooked down the left field line. Herrera's only made 1 start, man. He made the most of it. He didn't get any hits, but he had a couple of huge walks, especially that monster 9th inning where the Reds rallied to beat the Indians. And then, of course, he had the pinch hit 3-run home run over the weekend in St. Louis before the All-Star break.
You know, when he was acquired by the Reds in exchange for Jay Bruce from the New York Mets, I mean, they really thought that Herrera would be the second baseman of the future here. Then something named Scooter Gennett happened. He can hit, though. I mean,
yeah.
Just about every scout that I've talked to that have seen him play when healthy will tell you that Herrera can swing the bat.
In fact, there are a lot of rumors floating around, you know, whether there's anything to them or not. I mean, this is a time of year where, you know, a lot of people start throwing stuff against a wall, and, you know, how much of it ends up sticking remains to be seen. But there have been a few rumors floating around that the Mets want Herrera back.
In exchange for Jay Bruce?
No, I don't think that would be the deal. I don't think that's the one they're thinking about. There have been a lot of rumors about some of those young Mets pitchers, Wheeler and Matz and some of those guys. And again, we have no idea. We're not privy to any of that inside information, whether it was during Walt Jocketty's run as a GM around here or now the Dick Williams, Nick Krall regime. Back-to-back strikeouts for Feliz. Come on down to Great American Ballpark. Reds are going to be out of town, but on Saturday, August the 4th, the Zach Brown Band Down the Rabbit Hole Tour, featuring Leon Bridges, will be here at Great American Ballpark. Get your tickets this morning at reds.com/Zach Brown Band. Yeah. Having fun on a Friday night. Well, look at those two guys. Foul ground. It'll be Bell and Feliz with a dominant 7th inning. Off to the 8th. All Pirates so far. Keep those two guys separated down there.
And while it was Joey Votto's 6th trip, let's hear from the new kids on the block about what they thought about the experience.
For me, it was excited to work with my kid, my daughter, and my wife around me. I was excited. I can't forget this moment that I live in the All-Star game.
It was loud. The fans were excited that we tied the game up. I think the coolest part was I had a lot of family there and friends at the game.
Well, Shannon, thank you very much. It's always great to hear the reactions as those guys are able to reflect back a little bit, those they love, and be able to share such a special moment. Suarez still very early in his career. I mean, Jeanette's still a relatively young man. It's not like he's an old guy, but he's been around a while. Of course, for Votto's, it's almost become second nature heading to an All-Star game, but clearly he's not grown tired of them. Jackson Stevens takes over on the mound for the Reds following Austin Bryce. Malley gives up 6. Hernandez records it out, the only batter he faced, and then Bryce allows a couple of hits and a run in his lone inning. And now we get a look at Jackson Stevens, and that one whacked into left center field. What a night it's been for Rodriguez. Were it not for a great play by Suarez in the first inning, this could easily be a night for Rodriguez where he would not only have 4 hits instead of 3. He could have 6 runs batted in tonight.
You're exactly right about that.
Rodriguez has just not been healthy most of this year, and that's why Chris brought up earlier, you know, you look at his batting average coming into the game tonight under 150. But he has always been a good hitter.
Funny what the DL will do for you sometimes. When he went on the disabled list, Sean Rodriguez was right in the middle of a slump. 0 for 16 at the plate. Gets activated. He was on the DL since June the 27th, so it's been a little while. He must take some batting practice in the meantime.
Jeanette laying it all out there, but unable to get to that sharp bouncing ball off the bat of Mercer into center field. 2 batters, 2 base hits to start the Pirates' 8th inning.
I mean, that tells you a lot about Scooter Jeanette right here. I mean, the home runs and the runs batted in aside, but watch how he goes after this ball, down by 6 runs at 10 till 1 in the morning. There are a lot of different ways to lead your ball club, but getting out there and doing it with effort is the main way.
Well, the pinch hitter takes one low and away. It's 2 balls and no strikes. First time we've seen this young man play this year, Jordan Luplow. He had a pair of solo home runs in the second game of that doubleheader sweep of the Milwaukee Brewers over the weekend. He's having a good year for their AAA team. Batting nearly 300, 8 homers, 22 doubles. But really rolling when they brought him up. He was their minor league player of the year last year. So a big prospect. "24 years young." Oh, look out. Look out. That's the first out here in the inning. He'd be lights out with a water gun, wouldn't he? You just tell. Be getting every kid in the neighborhood. Dickerson 1 for 4, his one with a solo home run to right field in the 4-run 6th inning. Dodgers beat the Brewers tonight. Told you the Cubs lost to the Cardinals. Braves beat the Nationals. So, you know, you have no doubt that they're in D.C. They're thinking, okay, now's the time to get things rolling. And while it might only be one game and, you know, they only lose a game in the standings, you know, a lot of times that can be a big mental hit right from the get-go. You got a team in front of you in the standings coming in. You were the heavy favorite going into a season, and you're thinking, all right, here we go. It's time to get after it to begin the second half, and bang. they whack you right across the head in the first game.
Well, you wonder if the Reds and the Pirates are thinking the same thing. Now it's for 5th place and 4th place here in the Central Division. But the way the Reds have been playing, it's like almost the Pirates took a look behind them in the standings and said, uh-oh, we better start getting it together. All of a sudden they win 6 in a row. They go 8-2 in their last 10.
That one dumped into right field off the bat of Dickerson. They're going to hold the runner at third as Irvin fires it back into the cutoff man, and the bases are loaded against Stevens here in the 8th inning.
Get over $5,300 below MSRP on this 2018 Encore Preferred 2.
Indians are in a wild one tonight. They just scored in the 11th inning to take a 9-8 lead over the Rangers. All right, they're loaded here for Marte, and there's strike one.
Now, the Indians have already used in that ball game against the Rangers, Tom, 2 of the pitchers that they got in that deal with San Diego. Brad Hand and Adam Simber. So Terry Francona wasted no time at all.
How did Hand do there?
Hand pitched an inning, gave up a run. Simber went 2/3 and gave up nothing. Actually gave up a hit. He could have gassed in Hand's run.
Tell you what, man, there's a lot of pressure on those guys. You know, they fly below the radar, and you go from a really bad team where the expectations aren't all that great. You're pitching in San Diego, which is a huge, huge pitcher-friendly ballpark. We know that. And that is launched for a grand slam by Marte to make it 11-1 Pirates. So this guy's starting to put together a good year after battling some injuries early in the season. He is really coming on strong. This will be our Miller Lite hold true moment, and this pretty much ties a ribbon around this one. A grand slam from Starling Marte. Bouncing ball down to first, and that'll be the second out of the inning. Anyway, you know, finishing that Hand thing, you know, it's infrequently written about, but you couple those things about a bad team, low expectations, big ballpark, and all of a sudden, look, not every ballpark is Texas, but your first series with a new club, there's a lot of expectations. The Indians are expecting huge things out of Hand.
Well, they are, but actually the culprit in that ball game for the Indians was their closer, Cody Allen. He went an inning and gave up 3 hits and 2 runs.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, you know, if by getting Brad Hand, they have an option now to kind of flip-flop those guys or use them as more of a, you know, 1-2 punch or committee. I thought the interesting guy in that deal was the low side armor, Adam Simber. He pitched an inning against the Reds, I remember, out there in San Diego, and I think struck out the side and just completely blew away Suarez and Adam Duvall, 2 right-handers that just wanted nothing to do with him. Came from way down around Laredo with it. And I was talking to a couple of the Reds guys tonight who told me that, you know, the Padres have 3 or 4 of those low side armors in their organization.
Well, you've always been an advocate for that. If maybe some guy's struggling along in his career and, you know, he's over the top or 3/4, why not give it a go, right?
Hitters never practice hitting off somebody who throws like that. I like the idea of something different. I think one of the reasons why what we're seeing is pitchers are coming out of the same mold now. They're out of the bullpen throwing, 98 miles an hour. And the guys that are having success are the guys that can get that breaking ball in there.
Well, I'm telling you what. Colin Moran is just absolutely killing the Reds. Wow. And that's another base hit. Moran came in 11 for 34, 324 average with 3 bombs and 7 runs batted in. And bear in mind, he only has 8 home runs and 37 knocked in for the year. And tonight, a 4-hit game for the Pirate third baseman. It's been a rough 8th inning here for Mr. Stevens. In fact, tonight is his 2nd time in the career of Colin Moran. He has 4 hits in a game, and both of those games have come against the Cincinnati Reds. Now you're getting Michael Lorenzen loose in a bullpen when it's a 10-run game. I mean, the Reds don't have, I know they just came back from the All-Star break, and you like getting guys in there just to get their feet back on the ground. There's a fly ball to left. And that will mercifully end the inning. 9 bat, 4 of them score on the grand slam by Marte. Ohio, we call it Reds Live. Presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing, a special edition tomorrow. What with the on-field ceremony for the induction of the Reds Hall of Fame Class 2018 will start at 6. Kingham against D. Sclafani. Or as Chris is Dick Williams, and you like to call him just simply Disco.
Well, I couldn't pronounce Di Sclafani for the longest time.
So you reverted to Disco, the nickname that he has.
And then I practiced it over the winter. I've got it
Disco
down now.
You did?
No, the Di Sclafani part. That's Stephen Broughton.
Yeah, the tattooed left-hander ready to get it started here in the bottom of the 8th inning. His team firmly in command in the first game post All-Star break, 11-1. Well, we have seen this guy throw the ball really well. Now, those numbers would tell you there have not been some good outings since we've seen him last. But we've seen Brault as a starter. We've seen him as a reliever. In 9 innings against the Reds this season, he's only given up 1 run. In 4 games in his career, he's given up 3 runs. So every time the Reds see him, he's mighty good.
Now he's walking everybody else. He averages almost 6 walks per 9 innings. Originally drafted by the Baltimore Orioles out of Regis University. You know where that is?
I feel like I should.
It's a big league town. We go to it once a year.
We go to it once every year?
Once every year.
Okay, so it's got to be in another division. Let's start there. So, I'm going to say San Diego.
No. Good, right division, but wrong city. I'll give you one more guess.
Colorado.
Ding, 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 ding.
Nice.
Winner.
You been out there, have you?
Why?
To Regis College?
I've seen it, but I haven't really. Didn't make a campus visit or
well,
anything.
you know, I mean, I only asked because you and I were talking. You had your son Dan went to DePaul University with a W in Greencastle, Indiana. And I had never been there, and I was asking you about it, and I drove there and back twice over the All-Star break, and oh, what a nice place it is. Very nice. So it's kind of cool to check out some colleges. Love going to little college towns, and that is a really little college town, Greencastle, Indiana.
Sure is. Nice, cozy little town. You are visiting Luke in his lacrosse camp that was held out there.
Yeah, goalie camp they had
Goalie
there
camp.
this week, and so it was fun to go check it out. Beautiful facilities there, and it was great. Did a good job. The folks that ran it were awesome. He had fun, and he's healthy and in one piece. Amen. Alex Blandino going to come up and bat against Brault for Scooter Gennett. Yeah, Brault, it's my understanding, I guessed San Diego because that's where he's from, if I remember right, from reading a big article about him. And he's quite the musician. I guess he's in a really, a very highly thought of band that plays in and around San Diego during the off season. And really popular band. And I guess he's on his game.
You're exactly right. He is from San Diego, El Cajon area. Went to Grossmont High School.
El Cajon, man, you're getting right down there by the Tijuana border.
I did read that same article about, or one of the similar article about the band.
And Blandino whacks one into center field, a 1-out base hit. Alex Blandino aboard with 1 away.
We haven't had any guitar traveling on the Reds in their travel party here for a few years, ever since Bronson Arroyo left.
Yeah, well,
for a while there were 2 or 3 guitars going on the road.
Yeah, Mike Leake was there, right? He had it going on.
Jared Burton, when he was playing here, had a guitar that he would bring along with him.
Boy, what a good guy he is.
Yeah.
Really good guy. Still see him a lot. He's in Cincinnati a lot. He really found himself a little home up there here in Cincinnati. Up and around Mount Adams. Good guy.
Took over for you as the mayor of Mount Adams.
Yeah, slightly different personalities in that regard. Of course, a mayor, you can have different personalities in different places. Bill Hemmer was more so the mayor of Mount Adams than I would have been. Jim Volpenheim had that for a long, long time, wouldn't you think? Jimmy V?
He's right up there.
On both sides of the river.
Definitely.
Got it covered.
On the committee.
Yeah. Jimmy V. Bronson Arroyo was on that committee too now. He was up there for a long time.
Yeah.
2 balls and a strike on Suarez. And that one hooked into left field, a base hit.
Hit hard.
Suarez 2 hits tonight. Jesse Winker trying to make it a 4-hit night tonight.
Boy, if Winker can continue to hit like he has hit so far this year, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. He's got good eye at the plate. You know, everybody goes through a little cold spot, but I think when you have a good command of the strike zone, you can limit those slumps and not make everything look as bad. You know, you've got a really nice blend of lefties and righties in this Reds lineup. Winker and Votto and Jeanette. Schebler from the left side. That'll be an easy 2.
And that will end the inning. We're off to the ninth. Pirates in control of this one. Go 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by Toyota for over 30 offers. Visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Downtown Cincinnati on a Friday night. And actually a Saturday morning. Didn't start until 5 after 10. That was better than 3 hours ago. And here we are at 1:11 Eastern time, and Michael Lorenzen takes the ball in the 9th inning. Multiple changes for the Reds. Duvall moving over to third base. Peraza still at short. Blandino takes over at second. Kurt Casale getting time over at first. For Casale, it's his first ever appearance at first base in the major leagues. And of course, we saw Tucker Barnhart do the same thing on the last road trip. Well, a big night for Sean Rodriguez goes on. That's the fifth time he's been on, or the fourth time he's been on base, I beg your pardon. He has 3 hits and now a walk. So Lorenzen walks the first batter he faces here in inning number 9. Now we're going to get a pinch hitter. Swing and a miss, strike 1. Max Moroff drops it foul off to the third base side and out of play. Made a total of 10 starts this year. Brought up from AAA Indianapolis final week of June. We've seen him in the past. Three balls and 2 strikes.
You know, it looks a little bit like it's been a while for Lorenzen. I don't think he's pitched since the second game there in St. Louis. So like a lot of guys, you get on the All-Star break if you don't get some throwing in. I don't know if he did or did not. I presume he probably did, but it looks like his delivery is just slowly kind of reverting back to what we saw more in spring training, almost like a recoil action. And when he finally came off the disabled list, he told me that he worked on it quite a bit and wanted to do a couple of things basically in his delivery to keep himself behind the baseball and stay on line. The pitchers have a tendency to like fall out of the rhythm from time to time, and that was a better one right there.
Double play ball right there off the bat of Luplow,
and Blandino got it at second base. I mean, he got uploaded big time.
We'll have to take a look at this one, because this is the kind of thing we'll take a look. I mean, you don't want to rush any judgment here. Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy is right.
Well, he went up in the air to try to get over the runner. It wasn't a bad or a vicious slide at all by the runner. At least it didn't look like it at first look. But it looked like his foot was planted on the ground when the runner ran into his knee.
Well, I'm not sure you can have that kind of slide anymore, though. I think that's one of the things they've tried to avoid. That basically was a shoulder to the knee. He wasn't in the active sliding. He was almost on one knee when the contact was made. He pops up 5 feet short of the bag and then rolls right into the middle infielder.
Now, that was a legal slide because he got on the ground prior to getting to the base.
Gotcha.
And the fact that you go down and then pop up is not an illegal slide. You know, a lot of second basemen and shortstops will, when they come across the bag, they'll come across towards the infield or they'll use the base as protection. Oh. Let's hope he's all right.
Of course, Blandino just came into the game. I mean, that was the first play that he had touched the ball in this game since replacing Scooter Gennett as a pinch hitter in the bottom of the 8th inning at a base hit. I mean, he is clearly in some pain. And I'm sure no one feels worse about it than Max Maroff. Wasn't in there to try to, didn't appear to be in any way, shape, or form a dirty play. You didn't think so, right, Chris?
I did not think it was a dirty play at all. I just think that the fact that when you get hurt like that, and the reason infielders jump up in the air, because even when they do make contact, your feet aren't planted on the ground. You can tumble and somersault, land on the ground and be okay. Right. But when you've got one foot coming down on the ground, and that's when the runner makes contact with you, that's when you have an injury in one of your joints, your ankle or your knee, and let's hope that it's not as bad as it looks.
Well, I don't know if we'll get any kind of word back when you start looking at that kind of an injury. They have x-ray facilities here at the ballpark. They can't do an MRI here at the ballpark. So if we hear anything from the Reds clubhouse, we'll certainly let you know. If not before the end of this game, and we're in the 9th inning. Then, you know, perhaps in Reds Live, we might have to wait on it tomorrow, if not longer. But certainly our thoughts and prayers are with Alex Blandino, young man who's appearing in the major leagues for the first time this year. So Joey Votto has to come into the game, and he takes over at first base, and Casale has manned 2 positions he's never played in the big leagues in the string of 4 batters. And look at this. He didn't get down on that one like he would if that were a ball trying to get by him behind the plate. Fly ball into left center. Billy will go get it, and that will end the inning. An unearned run against Lorenzen, who walks 2. And hopefully Alex Blandino is going to be okay. Tomorrow, arrive early for a special pregame Hall of Fame induction ceremony honoring Adam Dunn, Fred Norman, Dave Bristol. The first 20,000 fans through the gates receive a Reds cap presented by Fox Sports Ohio. Get your tickets for as low as $12. Reds.com. Brault still the pitcher for the Pirates. Reds bat here in the bottom of the ninth inning, trailing 12-1. And Duvall down a strike. He's 0 for 3 in the game. A bouncer to third and 2 strikeouts. Gone swinging is Duvall for the third time tonight. And a second strikeout for Brault, trying to pick up the final 3 outs here in the ninth inning. Tyone, the pitcher of record for the Pirates, would go to 7-7. Malley, the pitcher of record for the Reds, would go to 7-8. And by the time everybody gets out of here, what tonight will be cranking it up in about 17 hours from now for Game 2. Stick around for Reds Live, the post-game version. Brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. Break it all down. Shannon Ford, Jeff Pecoro. That ball blasted into right center field off the bat of Urban. And that will fall in. Extra bases for Phillip Urban. That'll be a double with 1 out here in the ninth. Kurt Casale will bat for the first time. In the air left field, should be the second out here in the ninth. And it is. The Reds are down to their final out. Billy Hamilton, a hitless game here tonight. So again, a reminder, Reds Live one more time. We'll get underway at 6 o'clock tomorrow. We'll have the on-field ceremony. Hopefully Mother Nature's in a good mood tomorrow, because that's a big day for the trio of Fred Norman, Dave Bristol, and of course Adam Dunn, being inducted into the Cincinnati Reds Hall of Fame tomorrow. The big event downtown on Sunday night. And I believe there's still tickets available for that. I'm quite sure of it.
That's always a wonderful dinner.
It really is.
Really great program. Got a lot of the Reds Hall of Famers will be coming back.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Billy jerks it foul. I mean, if you're a Reds fan, it's incredible the people you will see there that night. The list of Reds Hall of Famers that will be in attendance for that. They come back, you know, we do it every 2 years, and they come in. And it's just incredible. It doesn't matter what era. I mean, you're going back to guys like, you know, Cardenas and Maloney and, you know, and that group. And then you move right into the 60s. Now, the one guy I've never seen here, and I sure wish that he would find a way to get back here, and because I know he thinks the world of coming to Cincinnati and has fond memories here, even despite the fact that the Reds traded him. Love to see Frank Robinson at one of those things. I mean, you know, God day, what an incredible figure he has been in the history of baseball, not just the Reds.
I think the last time we saw Frank here was for one of those community fun games.
That's right.
May have been the very first one the Reds did about 4 or 5 years ago.
If I remember right, I think, although I think he did come in, Chris, when they opened that that academy.
Oh, you're right. The Urban Youth Academy, he was there for the inaugural one.
But anyway, you know, outside of him, I mean, really anybody else who's a who's who in the history of the Reds that is still with us. I guess there's this shroud of secrecy as to whether or not Ken Griffey Jr. might be coming in. I mean, he and Adam Dunn have been best of friends for a long, long time, and that's the old ball game. So Brault works the final 2 innings of scoreless baseball, and the Pirates come in here and have ripped off their 7th straight win. That is their longest winning streak since 2016. 12-1 the final. The gang standing by for Reds Live right around the corner. Pirates win at 12-1. We'll look forward to seeing you later tonight.